we only had 15 cars in the race, and of those 15, with no disrespect to Brad Smith or the Fast Track Racing teammates here, you see 12th through 15th. They were well off the pace, and they're doing what they can with the budgets that they have. But it created some dangerous situations. There was one if you saw the tweet from ARCA highlighting the sweet moves of the race, there was one where Brad Smith was kind of getting lapped at looked like light speed almost with a couple of cars coming by. He was so off the pace, and a track like Dover, there's a safety aspect as well if you can't reach minimum speed. So, Brandon, I feel like every time we have an East race, this conversation comes back up. We have a car count issue, and it's great that we have some field fillers out there who are doing their best. But when you consider you put 15 cars, only 10 of which finished the race at anywhere close to a reasonable speed at a track like Dover, not to mention you're charging nearly $30 for a general admission ticket.
Oh, don't get you started on that.
Yeah. I mean, certainly for Delawareans, you wonder why the stands look so empty on a Friday. We've got one more race coming up. That's a standalone for East, and then it's all combination races for there. Should this have been a combination race with the main ARCA series? Should it have just been an ARCA race, by itself? Does ARCA need to raise the minimum speed at tracks like this? What's your take on the ARCA East racing this weekend?
It's pretty clear where we stand. It should have been all ARCA together. There's no reason for having that kind of race separate. And also these two questions kind of go together. If you had them together, then you probably would be able to justify the ticket pricing that they're boasting at ARCA with Dover. And also raising the minimum speed. It's too high of a series, in my opinion, to let guys just run around there like they're on a Saturday cruise or Friday cruise in this case. And then, like you said, no disrespect to these teams, that's the best they can put out, but they need to be at least given the resources to be able to put together a competitive car to at least be at minimum speed. I mean, you're going to be pulled over on the highway if you're not going minimum speed. As a civilian, why do we make it any different for the ARCA Menard series?
Well, on that note, like I said, I was traveling this weekend and, driving on the interstate where it says speed limit 65, but in reality, everybody's doing 70, 75. They're even getting up to 80 in the left lane. And below the 65, it said minimum 40. And I thought to myself, I can't imagine going 40 miles an hour right now because I would just be a roadblock with these guys for, in some cases, doing literally twice my speed because they always put 65, but it's human nature to go a little bit faster than that and try to, push the limit, not have to be on the road for longer than you need to be. And they don't usually pull people over if you're just going 5 or even 10 miles an hour above the speed limit. It's more about staying with the flow of traffic. To be going 40 miles an hour on the interstate, you're going to get run over. And similarly,
you're being dangerous.
Yeah, you're being dangerous. And, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, including the drivers of these teams here.
Yeah.
Brad Smith in particular, I hate to kind of throw him under the bus here because he's a great guy. And, it was very heartwarming to see him finally get that top 10 at Winchester a couple of years ago. But, there's a reason why he was parked for being too slow. If you're going to come out to these races, there needs to be, a minimum speed that is attainable that, if you're just above it, you're not getting into that danger zone. And, unfortunately, I think a line was kind of crossed there.
I'm glad you brought that up. It actually, it absolutely is an issue of safety.
Yeah. And
we're talking about here.
I think like you mentioned, I think this should have been an ARCA race, not just an ARCA East race. And it is a shame because back in the K&N days, it was a K&N East race and you had pretty much a full field. And of course, the car count issues being a dead horse. We've been talking a lot about that this season on this show. So unfortunately, I think something needs to change because you can't be charging that much money for a 10-car race to begin with. Obviously it helps to have the field fillers add a little bit to the car count, but at the same time, you can make the argument, what's the point if they're not going to be running a competitive speed here? I feel like the East Series does need more standalone races because already 3 of the 7 are combo races, but if you can't bring more than a dozen competitive cars out to the track, you have a situation like this where you're overcharging the fans for a lower quality show. And, you have the field fillers out there taking up space and being roadblocks because they can't hit the minimum speed, even though they are trying their best. Again, we don't want to give the impression that we're disrespecting these teams at all. It's just the opposite. We want to see them out there. We want to see them have good runs, but it's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, if we're honest, the ones where it's the low car count and field the bulk of the field can't maintain minimum speed, if we're honest, that they were bust races, and they're much better together with the main series together.
Just to give people an idea, if you watch these ARCA races, particularly the East and the West, the term Reese's sweet move of the race. I think Reese's are I hope they're certainly paying Charlie Crawl a lot of money, because he throws their name out there quite a bit, trying to come up with moments during the race that could be deemed the sweet move for a great pass or a great wreck avoidance or something like that. One of the sweet move nominees this weekend was Taylor Gray's burnout. So
that is to say, there were no sweet moves. There was just the victory burnout.
Pretty much. There were a couple of passes here and there, but Taylor Gray pretty much dominated, and it like I said, when you only put 10 competitive cars on the track, I don't know why people expect much different. It's for a track like Dover, you need more than that to put on a good show, and unfortunately the East Series just isn't there right now.